Hey guys, welcome to the M.A.M. Show, where we dissect the life journeys of people in the medical field and try to gain from their knowledge and experience. Well, today I'm very honored to welcome a person who saves lives as a doctor, a full time orthopedic surgeon, who teaches students as a faculty member for orthopedics, and also inspires us at the same time with his awesome Studyrevolution and Instagram challenges, and also a big YouTube page with more than 100,000 following. Please welcome Dr. Abbas Ali. Okay. Hi, sir. How are you? Especially in this lockdown period, stressful as a doctor and everything. So, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Shubhav. Yes, obviously it is different. I mean, calling it difficult is redundant now. I think let's just call it different. And since it's the new normal, I think all of us have kind of adapted to living like this. I will not say this is the best time of my life, but chal raha hai.
Yes, sir. So, as you said, it's not the best circumstances for everyone. So,
Right.
as medical students, we are not seeing any patients, especially final year medical students, which we need to see these patients, and due to lockdown, we are not allowed to. So, let's start with this. How can we compensate for this less clinical exposure during this lockdown period?
I'll just start by saying what I see around myself first, and then I will start going beyond that. I'll talk about my postgraduates. Okay,
Yes.
my postgraduates were exposed to a lot of clinical scenarios, in the sense they were exposed to a lot of trauma, a lot of elective procedures before the COVID, and ever since the COVID, they're only being exposed to critical high velocity trauma. That's it.
Oh.
I mean, not even regular mundane, both bones forearm fracture, both bones leg fracture. No, all of those are being managed conservatively. They are not getting to operate as much. It has been a total miss out on the clinical exposure. Now that I can see that in my postgraduate. So I can imagine what it must be for undergraduates, especially when you're starting to develop that interest to go to clinical postings. We all know how hard it must be, right, to get up in the morning and go to the clinical postings. Now once you've overcome that, you only overcome that because you find it interesting, because you're going to the hospital now. You're finally the doctors that you wanted to be. Now when you go to the hospital, you get interested and you learn more. But now that there is no hospital and you don't go there, I can understand what kind of a setback it must be. You will not be interested to read the clinicals, and you will obviously not be interested to read the theory. Now there is obviously no way to circumvent this. I can't sit down here and lie to you and do this. This is the best method to circumvent that loss. That is an actual loss, and we have to accept that. Keeping that in mind, there are options that can help you cope up with this loss, but you also have to keep your expectations in check. You can't expect it to be exact replication of your clinical posting. That will not happen. So what you can do, and this is what I suggest, is make the best use of technology. We are living in the 21st century, and we would have never imagined sitting down and talking to each other like this, right?
Yes,
I mean, 5 years ago this was not possible, but we have technology to leverage. There are so many videos out there. There are so many, resources out there that can teach you how to examine the patient in a, systematic manner that you would pick up in your clinical posting. Use that. And when you want to learn something that is abnormal, I always tell, try to start with something that is normal. So examine your best friend, examine your family members, because they are the normal. And once you learn how to examine the normal, that is when you will start appreciating what is the difference and what is the abnormal. Most of the times, and I am also victim to this, is that we directly go and examine the abnormal. The first time I actually auscultate a patient and he had a murmur that was not a normal lambda, and that was etched in my memory. And for a very long time, it was difficult for me to grasp what normal was. So what I'm trying to say is, start from the normal, keep on exposing yourself to as many normal cases as you can, your friends, your family members, and then one fine day, eventually, once all this settles down, and it will settle down, you can actually go to your postings, and then voila, the moment you touch him or touch her, this is absolutely abnormal, because this has not been heard or seen in your family and friends. And apart from that, I also suggest reading up. I mean, this is the best time because you're sitting at home and there's not a lot to do. So read up, underline the stuff that you need to revise. And, don't just read everything, because again, that is another mistake most of the students make. You start reading everything. And when you start reading everything, there is no structure to that. Because you're still an undergraduate and there is only a set amount of expectation from you, you can focus only on the stuff that is tested and asked in your exam. Yes. All right. So read that, understand that, examine that on a normal case like your family and friends, and then go to the postings. And trust me, it will all come to you. It will automatically come to you. What do you say?
I agree with you, sir. Like, now that you say it, like, if I examine the normal, many times, I think it would be easier to spot the difference. I've never thought of this idea actually. Like, I'm always like, okay, how to compensate? Might, watch some videos on YouTube or some teaching app or something. But I think this is a really good idea to examine your family members or friends and spot the difference.
This is something that will be forever with you. I'll tell you, a postgraduate of mine who was in final year, and I asked him to perform an Ortolani's test. That's a test for developmental dysplasia of hip in a baby. Okay. And he was very apprehensive. The baby started crying and it was very difficult for him. I told him to stop examining any pathological cases and examine all normal babies. And once he, mastered how to perform that maneuver and he was comfortable moving the hips of a baby, it all worked out for him later when he started examining the patients with actual dysplasia of hip.
That's a really, really good tip, and I didn't think of it like all this 1 year. I wish you would have told me, before when this lockdown started.
We also had no idea. We are learning from what we are seeing every day.
That's true. And one more abnormal thing happening in our medical community is this big shift for this exam from NEET PG to next exam. Like, this is the hot topic these days, and since many months, like, what should I prepare for next? Should I prepare for NEET PG? And you also keep circulating notices on your Instagram, updates. Actually, I think every month, every week we have some updates, and you are the source of those updates for many students. So this is the hot topic, I want to say. So how to approach this next exam? I remember you saying it like, manzil wahi hai, raaste badal gaye. So how to approach this next exam?
Right. Shubhav, how many exams have you written all your life? Let's just say from kindergarten to wherever you are in life. How many exams?
Uncountable. I can't say. Right. Every year, let's say 10.
Right. Just say 10, right? Like, of those 10 exams, how many exams, are the ones that you remember?
By the milestones, I can say NEET, UG, or my board exams, or final year exams, like that. Yeah.
You understand what I'm coming to. You only value anything that you read based on the difficulty or the effect of an exam in terms of the outcome. You only value something that you read based on the difficulty or the outcome of one particular exam. In the sense, what I'm trying to basically tell you is that when you read as a doctor in MBBS or undergrad, you value only those exams that have a devastating effect on your career. You don't remember the easy exams.
True.
Right? And the reason people are so confused about next versus NEET PG is because of this uncertainty around next PG regarding how long it will be, how many questions it will have, and how difficult it will be. So in our heads right now, we are all thinking that it must be the most difficult exam out there ever in the history of MBBS.
I agree.
Right? And that's why we are out. We are just constantly trying to find out what it is.
Yeah.
But if you just look at it from this perspective, like, it is an exam that is going to question you from the subjects that you've been reading all your life, the 5 years of MBBS, right? Okay. It is not going to ask you anything other than that. And it doesn't matter how many questions you keep asking in terms of the number or how you ask it. You're just going to ask that one particular thing. And once you understand that, you stop giving it so much importance. And the moment you stop giving it so much importance, you will realize that the whole fear factor, the uncertainty around it just flies away. It's so unfortunate that we are tying so much importance to it that we are forgetting that the answer is right in front of us. If we continue reading what we are reading and we do it the best we can, trust me, there is no exam that you will not be able to answer, because unless the exam is asking questions from subjects other than the subjects that you're studying in MBBS, trust me, you will be able to answer. They are not going to ask questions from astrology or astronomical physics or whatever. I don't know those subjects, but what I mean to say is they are not going to ask you questions that are beyond the realm of MBBS. Once that realization sets in, I personally believe that there is hardly going to be any difference when it comes to NEET, PG or next, because they are going to be the same.
But let's say the FMG exam, people are used to, let's say, the marking scheme. There is no negative marking for FMG exam. Now they have to give the next exam, right? So then now they will be thinking, I must prepare very well so I know which ones to leave, which ones to answer. So there is also this dilemma among, let's say, foreign medical graduates.
So what you're basically saying is that there is a technical difference in terms of how the paper is presented to you. The content remains the same.
I agree.
Right now, yes, it has become a high stakes exam because now there is negative marking. Previously, तुक्के पे था, निकल जाएगा, दो लगा दो, एक लगेगा. अब नहीं चलेगा, तुक्का नहीं चलेगा. You have to actually have precise knowledge, which I personally feel is not a wrong thing to do. But the cutoffs have to be, balanced to keep everyone, secure in their career. You can't have, high cutoffs and, just segregate people who don't have that kind of quality education. You just can't do that. So what I personally feel is to use an exam as a screening exam, both for Indian and international medical graduates, the cutoffs have to be kind of checked and balanced based on where the student is coming from, so that it is not extremely difficult for students who come from, systems that are different from ours.
That is true. Okay.
I have not actually told you how to approach it still. I've actually evaded that answer.
But I get the point that now that statement makes more sense to me. Manzil wahi hai, raaste badal gaye. Like the content is same.
I can actually come and answer that precisely, but I really don't think that is what will solve the problem. See, the problem hota kya hai na, when we are studying, we always study in terms of ye exam kaise nikalenge. Right, and for the first time, I feel next exam is an exam where you don't have to study like that. If it is, it turns out to be what it is thought of. It is going to be one exam where you don't actually have to prepare for that exam. Instead, you prepare to be a better doctor. And that exam will be cleared if you prepare to be a better doctor. And I personally feel that, because see, if you're going to have a 5-day exam, and you're going to have hundreds of questions from one particular subject. Obviously, there is a chance to explore so many areas of that subject that previously were not explored. For example, in orthopedics, I mean, a student can get away reading 30 or 40 topics and he'll do decently well in orthopedics. But now, if orthopedics is presented with, say, 40 questions, then he has to actually go through it very well. So I feel next is one exam that you don't have to prepare for precisely. Just prepare to be a better doctor, and next clear ho jayega.
Okay, so basically nailing down the basics, getting all the knowledge, and not thinking about ki exam kaisa hoga. Just knowledge kaisi honi chahiye वैसे.
Exactly. तुम डॉक्टर बनने के लिए पढ़ो, next हो जाएगा.
Chalo, yeah, that's a good approach to the next exam. And one more thing is, see, when a student enters medical school, first year MBBS, some of them are relaxed. Some of them are very new to the system. Like there are new subjects, big volumes, anatomy, biochemistry. So they don't think about these state exams or next exams right from the first year. It's the second year MBBS when they start to question. next आ गया, next आने वाला है, we have NEET PG, we have next, how to approach, how to start. I don't even remember my first year, how to manage all this. So the second year, I think maybe you also must be getting lots of questions from second year medical students specifically, like, sir, I want to start now. How should I approach it? So what would you say on that?
Right, like first year mein to when the student comes into the medical college, I think he's just amused and just awestruck by the whole aura around medical college, and it's a total departure from his previous life. His previous life was locked in a box studying to crack NEET UG, right? And yahan par he's like all open and is doing whatever he wants to, and most of the times people travel out of station, travel abroad, and there's so much freedom and no responsibilities, and you are the boss of yourself. So I guess first year is gone because it just goes in a flash, and by the time you realize ki medicine mein karna kya hai. But second year is the year where start realizing ki yes, I have to do this, I have to clear this exam and whatnot. And like you rightly pointed out, I get a lot of questions from second year students, which is actually, it gives me hope, honestly Shubha. It gives me a lot of hope कि बच्चे अभी से ही कैसे properly पढ़ना है करके सोच रहे हैं, which is very nice. I mean, thank God for this generation. 5 साल पहले nobody had access to talk to teachers directly, but अभी है. And people like yourself and so many out there who keep on putting out this amazing content for juniors to learn from. I've seen one of your videos about Anki, and I feel first year के लिए वो तो बस it's absolutely important because there is so much stuff to mug up. There's so much stuff to mug up, and a lot of people don't understand कि mug up करने का भी एक तरीका होता है. And I've showed it nice in your video with that Feynman technique and active recall and all the various types of active recall, which is very nice. So it is so nice that the first years and the second years now have so much exposure to people like yourself and everyone to learn from. But at the same time, like you said, the realization sets in and they want to know the right approach.
Yes.
Again, I would like to say the same thing that I answered in the previous question. If you try to study the subject to understand it, it will become easy for you to answer the questions. But at the same time, you should not be blinded by the vastness of information. You should be a little strategic, Shubhav.
Okay.
Strategic in the sense, जब अगर आप बुक उठा के पढ़ते हो, पहले मार्क कर लो कि पूछता क्या है, right? You start marking it. Now, you know that these are the red flag areas in terms of what the examiner wants you to know. And it is not wrong to know that. लोग ना, they undermine the people who study smart. They are like, वो तो सिर्फ मार्क करके पढ़ता है, उसको तो सीनियर ने मार्क करके दिया और वो पढ़, मैं तो पूरी कवर टू कवर पढ़ता हूँ. I mean, good for you that you read cover to cover, but the people who actually mark and study are smarter because, see, what are these questions that are marked? These are the questions that you see in your common practice, your day-to-day practice, right? The reason we are trying to emphasize on these topics so vehemently is because this is something that is going to come up in your practice in your future.
Yes.
For example, in orthopedics, I tell you again, like supracondylar humerus fracture.
Okay.
It is so common fracture and missing it is criminal. That is why it's an essay. That is why it is a long question. Right?
I remember one of your videos, the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the questions are from 20% of the syllabus.
Yes.
I think that makes perfect sense now again.
It is because, see, I told you, medicine is so vast. Not only medicine as a subject, I mean medicine as a career. It's so vast. And there will be so many patients that you come across that will have, many differentials. And you can't treat everyone. That is why you specialize in the future.
Yes.
But you should know the ones that will keep coming to you in your practice. And those are those marked questions.
Yes.
So if you're a person who's a smart student, go to your senior, mark the points that you need to know or the topics that you need to know, and then go ahead and read it. Read it, have fun with it, but definitely pay attention to the topics that you're marking so that you can ace the exam as well, because unfortunately, the only way to assess whether you're knowledgeable or not are exams, and you need to clear them.
Okay. That is
right?
true.
So I think that is the best way to approach, second year. And the ones you mark are the ones that will be tested again in your entrance exam. They will be tested in slightly different manner, but they will be tested. So mark them, read them, and do the same thing again for the next year. I think that should be an ideal approach, if you want to study as well as be ready to crack the entrance exam.
Okay, sir. So let's imagine I have taken this tip from you. I have marked everything in my book. I have asked my seniors. I am doing what the bone teacher is telling me to do. Now the problem is I am studying new material. At the same time, I like the old material is starting to evaporate. So how can I balance studying new material and also revising the old material? This is what some people miss, I guess. They say, okay, I've studied it, I've studied this, I've studied this. But when the question comes, they're like, when did I study this? I don't even remember. So how should I balance this new material and revising old material and everything?
I think it happens to everyone, Shubha. I mean, unless you're a Rain Man or, it happens to everybody. I think the best way to go by is I've seen a few videos of yours, which you've, again, awesome work. Again,
Thank you, sir.
They have actually told us how to revise and how to read. And these are the techniques that are scientifically proven and they work.
Yeah.
One of them is your active recall and the other is spaced repetition, right?
True.
So these are the things that we've been doing all our life. We just didn't have names for it.
Yeah.
You, the fancy scientists behind this, have found what the scientific terms for this are and have arranged them in a video and presented it in such a beautiful way. It's that you have to frequently keep looking at it, otherwise you will forget it. And that's science, that's normal. But at the same time, like you said, if you teach somebody, you will remember it for a very long time.
Yeah.
But that also will not be forever.
Yeah.
You have to unfortunately keep coming back to it. My suggestion is to come back to it, but in a different form. Okay. Again, taking cue from one of your videos. Say you read something, right? You read something, you teach it to someone else.
Okay.
You read something, you go and examine a patient to find those findings in that patient.
Okay.
So one way was to teach it to someone else. The other way was to examine it on a patient. And trust me, once you do these things, the same thing will be etched in your memory for a very, very long time. And then you will have to come back to it a little less compared to just reading something.
Yeah.
So just find ways to keep it in your memory. And there will obviously be these remote random facts that you will forget. There is a reason why they are called facts and you can't remember them. Nahin. So, but other than that, if you know your way around what it is based on, in other words, the concept, I think you're set.
Okay, so basically it's looking at the same picture, same topic in different ways. Pehle book se,
Right.
then teaching, then maybe examining the patient in real life or normal patient, as we said.
I will give you one example. I was in my general surgery posting and I had read about Graves' disease.
Okay.
And within that week of reading it, I actually saw a patient with Graves' disease. And I remember all the clinical features of Graves' disease, like they're on the back of my hand. I never actually had to open the book ever in my life.
Okay.
And if I see a Graves' disease patient again, I will definitely diagnose it because I've read it and I've seen it.
Yeah.
And if you can teach it to your junior or your colleague, then you're set. Then you're set for life. And that is why you see all these great practitioners, itne bude doctors. How do you think they remember all this stuff?
Going through it again and again. Patients.
Right. It's only through practice. They're seeing it on the patient again and again. They understand the permutations and combinations of it. For example, an old lady comes and tells a doctor कि डॉक्टर साहब मुझे रात में उठ के बार-बार बाथरूम जाना पड़ता है. For you and I, it will be like, why? I mean, आप पानी बहुत पी रहे होंगे. But for a physician, he knows that is classical polyuria, right? That's a polyuria. And that has come from, seeing more patients and learning from them. So I think reading the books is one part, and if you examine the patient and teach it to your colleague or junior, you will remember for a long time in your life.
Okay, so this is basically active recall in real life and spaced repetition because patients will keep coming to you again and again with the same problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have even taken this tip into consideration. I am actively recalling. I am doing spaced repetitions. And as you said, I am marking the high yield material and also. Now my exam is very near. Now one more problem we have is how to keep calm mentally when you are a few weeks or a few days away from your exam, which is a big exam. So how can I, I have all this anxiety. I might forget this. I don't remember this. What will I do if I, start having diarrhea during the exam, nervous diarrhea or something like that? So I start having, especially I can't sleep the night before the exam. That's a very common problem. So how will I able to sustain, long hours during the exam? So how to keep calm mentally, just, right before the exam?
See, Shubhav, I feel personally that the root cause of anxiety, unless you have a mental health issue, the root cause of anxiety is basically uncertainty of outcome. True. Right? So if you plan properly, there is no scope for uncertainty. The reason most of the students, and myself included, are anxious before the exam is because things are not happening as we planned. And the reason that happens is because we have not planned properly. Either we have, underestimated the time, or we have underestimated the syllabus. Yeah. That is the single most common problem. If you allot appropriate time and appropriate value to a subject that is going to show up in your exam, you will be able to plan it properly. Hota kya hai? I mean, we go and see endocrinology in medicine. We look at it, it's just 55 pages in some XYZ book, and we are like 55 pages se 2 ghante mein ho jayega. Right? So what have we done? We have underestimated the syllabus. Yeah. It is huge. It will take weeks to understand. Right? And we have not allotted proper time to it. And then when actual time comes to sit down and do it, and we realize कि ये तो 2 घंटे क्या 4 घंटे में भी नहीं हुआ है, and now we are hit by this rude shock, and now the thing is out of our control, and now we are anxious. Yeah. So I think we need to kind of allot proper time for understanding the subject, reading it, understanding it, and memorizing it. And once we allot that will kind of help us overcome anxiety. Another thing is we have to plan till the last day of our exam. Okay. Hota kya hai? We start planning. We start planning with the first 2 days or 3 days of our preparation, and then it goes as it goes. You need to plan till the last day of the exam, till the last day before the exam. And the reason you need to plan this is because if you have everything planned and written on a chart, when you're anxious, you don't think straight. I mean, none of us think straight. Have you noticed this one important thing, that in emergency medicine, or in emergency trauma, or any emergency management of any patient, there are protocols, right, that you need to follow blindly. Why are they protocols? Because we human beings cannot think straight when we are under pressure. True. So those protocols are designed so that we can just follow it blindly and save a person's life, right? So ABCD, you have ATLS, you have BLS, you have ACLS, right? So similarly, if you set a protocol that you're going to do till the last day before your exam, even if you're anxious, you just keep blindly following it, you will come out winning. That is the problem. We don't plan it till the last day of our exam. And even if we plan it, we don't plan it properly. Like I said, we underestimate the time given to understand some. Right? 2 घंटे में मेडिसिन हो जाए, किसकी होगी? 2 साल में नहीं हो रही है, 2 घंटे में होगी. तो पहली गलती वहाँ है. We underestimate the time, and then we do not, plan till the last day of our exam. If you do these 2 things, which I personally feel works, if you do these 2 things, the whole anxiety factor निकल जाएगा. और anxiety अगर है भी, you don't have to worry about it because you are just following the protocol in front of you. अभी पता है ये मुझे ये पढ़ना है, अब जो भी है ये पढ़ना ही है. वो अंदर जा रहा है नहीं जा रहा है, it doesn't make sense, जो भी है पढ़ना तो है. And if you do it, the patient will survive, right? If you follow ABCD, you don't have to think, the patient will survive. So if you do this, you will survive your exam. You don't have to worry too much about it. So I feel all of it comes from uncertainty. Try to make it certain, and I think you will feel relaxed. And then वो तो बाकी तो आपको सबको पता ही है ना, meditation है, relaxation है, talking to your family and friends है. So all of these things are there, but I think I needed to address the problem, the elephant in the room. We underestimate the syllabus and we do not plan till the last day of our exam. We do these 2 basic mistakes, and if you guys take care of this, I'm sure you will be fine.
So proper planning is the main thing here. If we stick to it, it will be fine in the end.
Right. And Shubhav, this planning doesn't happen, overnight. It doesn't happen from the beginning itself. Because planning is where you basically understand yourself as a student. Right? I know if I'm going to read something that has to do with medicine, it's going to take me years to read. But if it's something surgical, I can just do it in a few hours. So I know myself. So you should also start understanding. Different. Everyone is different. For example, your other guest on the show, Anuj loves biochemistry. Right? Who loves biochemistry, man? I don't understand. Right? He loves it. So it's comfortable for him. But for someone else, it is not. So I think you need to understand how you work. And this will only happen if you keep on practicing making plans and keep on changing them as you grow. And your first year plans will be awful and your final year plans would be amazing. And I think that's how you should progress making those plans.
So there is one more thing now. So this means that not all plans are suitable for everyone. So I'm sure you must be getting a plethora of questions, sir. मेरे लिए plan कर दो. Like I have these many subjects left. I have these many days left. What should I do? So now the answer is like your plan is according to you, not according to me.
No. I mean, I'm curious how you understand what these students ask me, because I'm sure they are asking you the same thing. Itne sare messages asking me to set up a plan for them.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, I feel sorry that I can't help all of them. And I'm sure you must be feeling the same way, because you also must be getting hundreds of DMs every day to help students. But there is only so much we can do. So that is why if you go back to my videos or my podcast, I have basically always made it my personal rule to give general ideas or the general direction of how you should go about doing things. Because like I just said a few minutes ago, nobody can specifically design a plan for somebody, because each and every one of us are extremely, extremely unique individuals. And that is the beauty of it, right? So I would just suggest keeping a few things clear. Keep your expectations in check. Don't have these blind hopes without putting in the effort. Put in the effort, plan properly, and never underestimate the subject.
Okay, noted. Duly noted. So now, next question we have is a very peculiar question. I recently did a Ask Boneteacher Anything. So I got this very peculiar question. So the person says like, I have scored 600 plus marks in NEET UG 2020, but I really don't want to be a doctor. But I have a golden chance. I have scored 600 plus. What should I do?
Wow. So that is actually a very heavy question.
Yes.
Okay. But I got a similar kind of question today in my Telegram group. The question was, is physiotherapy the best career? Right? So I asked him what is best. Best as in successful and money, he said. And I just left it there because I couldn't answer that question, because best is a relative term. Now, the golden chance here that you're talking about is again an extremely relative term, Shubha, for me, because a golden chance for you may be something different, and a golden chance for me is something different.
True.
And these golden chances, they keep on changing as we grow older. Right? So, and I have a unique opportunity to understand this better, because I don't know if you know this, I have a Telegram group.
Yes.
And in that Telegram group,
we'll link it down in the description box.
So all the students who want to participate in the Studyrevolution and, who want to study and help each other, are in that group. And I have seen people who have just gotten into medicine or not even gotten into medicine, have cracked NEET UG, have joined that group and are asking seniors, how is medicine as a career? Right? Now, I'll tell you what is funny here. Now, this person who is asking this question is so hopeful to hear something very positive, something great about being a doctor, right? Something motivating, something inspiring, something empowering. And he wants to just read that message and feel happy about himself and sleep. But unfortunately, all the seniors, the interns, the post-interns who are preparing for NEET PG are so jaded and rugged right now that they are bashing him left, right and center and be like, kya karega tu doctor banke? Right? And I'm watching this and I'm helpless, because there are so many people writing and typing and I just can't, jump in and answer. So I just see this warfare going on. He, with his high hopes, this newbie coming in and asking for a question, and the seniors, the jaded warriors, the veterans are just totally bashing him, and it's like, nahi, tu kya karega, tu life enjoy kar, kuch aur career le le. So I think I would like to answer this question, but in a way which is not something that you probably expected of me. I just want to know if this person who's talking about this golden opportunity has a particular thing in mind. Because like I said, golden opportunity and golden chances are different for different people. Some people seek money. Some people seek fame. Some people seek, happiness. There are different things that you can seek from a career.
True.
The question is, what are you seeking? Right? And again, each career can give you all of that. Each career can give you only one aspect of that.
True.
So the problem only comes when you get into a career hoping to get something out of it and then you don't get it.
Okay.
That is when you're disappointed.
True.
Otherwise, you will be happy whatever you do. So if you're getting into medicine, hoping that it will give you something specific that you're looking for, and if it gives you that, yes, this is your golden chance and you should take medicine. And if you're missing it, you're going to make a huge mistake. But if you're looking for something that this career doesn't offer you, then this is not your golden chance. In fact, this is your golden chance to escape it and pick an alternate career. So I think it is high time the seniors and the parents actually sit down with these young children, young kids who are, trying to become doctors in the future, and tell them what it is, what are the pros and cons honestly, without, fogging it up with a lot of inspiration and motivation and, logon ki seva and maa baap ki dua, and just be very brutally honest with them of, the repercussions and the dedication it requires. Look at you. You're sitting so far away from your family and you're so motivated and you're so dedicated, which is, it's so wonderful. But I'm sure not a lot of people have that in them. Right. So unless you know who you are and somebody who knows you better than you guides you properly, I don't think it is an answer that I, or in fact any one of us can give, Shubhav.
So it's like basically if demand meets supply, go for it.
Right.
If there is no supply for your demand, then escape.
Very simply put, like a businessman.
So, I hope the person who's asked it got his answer and he can judge for himself now. A more educated decision he can make. So now let's jump onto one more aspect of your life. You play so many roles in your life. First and foremost, you are a family man. And congratulations on the birth of your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Second of all, you save lives as a doctor. Third, you teach students. You are a faculty member. Fourth, you're also an established content creator. Fifth, sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh, there are many aspects in your life. But these four are the ones we as public know about you. So how do you manage all this? I'm sure like your time management is, again, it's relative, way different to how I will manage my time and how anyone else will manage his or her time. But maybe we can extract some tips from your time management and emulate in our own study life. We are not practicing as a doctor, but maybe the same time management skills would apply. So how do you manage all of this?
Well, I would like to answer that by just letting everyone know who's watching this about Shubhav. Shubhav approached me to get on this podcast. That was first week of November?
Yes.
Or last of October. It was
Around
first week of November. Around that time. And he wrote me this sweet email and we got in touch and I agreed to do this because I just loved the content he made and I wanted to be a part of his show.
Thank you, sir.
And believe me, he's been persistent. He's been persistent. There were times I just couldn't figure out how to slot him in whatever time that was available to me. But he was persistent and he was patient. So persistence and patience, this guy has oodles of them. And he kept coming back. He's like, Aaj nahi sir, koi baat nahi. next week koi baat nahi, next week. And it was not that I was intentionally postponing this from happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, right? I mean, there are surgeries, there are recordings, there is family, and there are ceremonies. There's so many things going on, right? But he kept on coming back, and I finally could actually make time for him. The reason I'm saying making time for him was that it's not that I don't have time. And for sure, I mean, you also have to give time for this. It's not that none of us have time. We have time. We just focus on things that are more important to us. So at that time of my life, that was in November and most of December, there were things that were more important than actually sitting down and recording a podcast. True. And that is in no way trying to minimize your efforts, Shubha.
Of course.
It's just that those things mattered more to me in terms of my life, career, and family. So I had to prioritize them. So basically what I'm trying to say is we need to have a very strong sense of prioritization. And this again doesn't come overnight. You have to keep on cultivating this habit of, is this important or is that important?
Okay.
Right. And this I learned from my dad.
Oh.
My dad used to send out someone to, get the groceries.
Okay.
And my mother used to say, why are you sending him out? He'll buy things that are expensive. He will buy stuff. He will not bargain properly.
Yeah.
And my dad would say, क्या करेगा? 200-300 बढ़ के दे देगा ना.
हाँ.
तो बट मेरा टाइम बच जाएगा ना, एंड उतना सारा टाइम आई कैन स्पेंड विद फैमिली. सो ही हैज प्रायोरिटाइज दैट. ही इज विलिंग टू लूज दैट काइंड ऑफ मनी टू save time for his family. So I think I got that from him, and that is where you learn when to prioritize things. And simple prioritization is not enough. You have to constantly keep on reprioritizing, because as the day progresses, there are a lot of fires you need to put out. There is not just one fire. There is a call from the department chief and he wants a seminar. There is a call from some dude from a pharma company who wants you to present some seminar, and there is an exam that needs to be conducted. I have to make a video on my YouTube channel. I have to do an Instagram live. I have to record a podcast with Shubhav. I have to write something. I have to do something. So all of these things happen, and you constantly have to immediately reprioritize. Is this something that I need to do now, or can it be postponed for later? So I've actually made a video about this where I talk about plan your tomorrow today.
Yes,
I don't know if you've seen it. Right. So you make a list of 10 things that you want to do. And how do you decide which one comes on the top? You simply decide that among these 10 things that I have to do, if I could only do one thing, which one would it be? Yeah, and you take that one thing and you put it on the top, and then the remaining 9 things, you again look at them and you say, which is the one thing that I can do of these 9, and then you take it and that becomes the second thing. So that is how you make a list, right? And you keep on doing stuff. Other than that, also, you should have a general idea. Like, for example, the first time Shubhav approached me for this podcast, he said he wanted me to be a part of this podcast for November.
Yes.
And I realized कि November में तो नहीं होगा. Right? So then he said, okay, we can schedule you for December. So in my head, I had a general prioritization कि December खत्म होने से पहले ये recording करना है. Right? So it was constantly there hovering around my head कि December में करना. And there was this guilt because I have committed and I'm not giving time. नहीं होता है. I mean, a lot of people think that I don't give them time, but you do understand.
You have many fires to put out.
Yeah, I try my best, but that is the simple Abbas that was always there in myself, that I can't say no to a lot of people. It's difficult to say no. So I say yes a lot of times, and then I realize I get myself in a lot of trouble because I've committed and I can't deliver. So nowadays I'm asking people to deal with my PA, not me. But when I speak to someone, I say yes, so I have to do it. So there was this constant guilt, but there was this general idea कि हाँ करना है दिसंबर तक. So you also should have a sense of general idea कि I need to finish this syllabus by say October or September. And if you have that general idea in your mind, your prioritizations again automatically shift.
Okay, so the basic point here is we have to learn what is our priority and then reprioritize accordingly, and constantly ask ourselves this question, like, what is the single most important thing I would do if I could only do one? If it's that, then okay. When I'm done with it, ask the same question again. So that's how I learned to reprioritize, and hopefully that will help me in time management, no matter I'm a doctor, I'm a student, or I'm any person. So I think that is a skill we all can learn from you. And now let's go on to these interesting things, the funny bits or the more interesting bits we know about you. You call your students turtles. So how did you come up with this turtles idea, or why do you call them turtles?
I guess this kind of got established in March in 2020. I think I was doing one live session for Marrow where I was basically telling everyone how to start preparation. Right? Okay. I was telling how to start preparing, for NEET PG, and towards the end of my live session, I wanted to leave them with a motivational story so that they get inspired and there is this energy in them, because it was 1 long hour live session where I was telling them how to go about reading and watching the videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it was very impromptu, Subhav. I actually did not plan to say that, because the day before taking the flight, I actually had read the story to my kid. Okay. The turtle and the hare story. It's actually the tortoise and the hare story. Yeah. The tortoise and the hare, but I was like, turtle nikla tab tortoise nikla nahi. So tab maine turtle and a hare ki story batai, and I told them ki this is a long race and you have to maintain your energies till the last finish line. So don't be that sprinter who runs fast in the beginning because you're motivated कि अभी पढ़ना है and 4 दिन के बाद पता चला थक गए और फिर सो गए. वैसे मत करो, and just be patient with your energy expenditure and keep on persistently going slow. And I just felt कि I was talking to my turtles and I said good night my turtles. And then the next day when I woke up, the whole Instagram was flooded with turtles of Bone Teacher and turtles. I was like, ये क्या हो गया? But then it was so nice and it was so cute. I was like, ठीक है बस अब यही है. अब तुम लोग सब turtles और turtles ही रहो.
So it became a movement. Like everywhere you see, we are turtles of Bone Teacher. उन्होंने recognize हमें किया नहीं किया, but we are turtles of Bone Teacher.
So, and I think with that we have started. It was a part of. The turtles were a part of the study revolution that followed, and this whole Studygram community started building around it, and so it kept on re-emphasizing, and now it has become a very important part of the study revolution and Studygram, especially for the NEET PG aspirants in India.
Actually, this was my next question to you. So how did you come up with this amazing challenges? It started out Study Revolution, then it was challenge 1, 2, 3, many challenges. So what was the idea behind it?
Well, actually, again, like I said, it was not planned that we will do challenges with Study Revolution. The whole concept of Study Revolution actually came into existence just around the time we went into lockdown here in India. Right, and that was the time when most of the students went back home and they were not with their friends, they were not with their books, they were not in the library, and that whole environment of studying was not there. And at that very time, I was exposed to this Studygramming concept that is followed by a lot of European and American students who they journal their progress. I mean, it was being done by Indian students as well.
But at less amounts.
Yeah, I mean, it was not done on a huge platform.
Yeah.
So it caught my eye and I thought this is something that can actually bring everyone together as a community and help everyone out who are just singled out away from their study areas.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of Study Revolution was to bring accountability to everyone by showing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So I would put up a story in the morning showing what people are planned to study. So people who get up in the morning and go through Instagram feed wasting their time would see that story and be shocked. All right, someone is studying while I'm just wasting my time.
I should also study.
Right, I should go back and study. So then people started studying and they started putting up more stories. But then again, there was no sense of direction. So I thought, let's give them some challenges to give them direction. And it was kind of inspired by the Modi ji's speech of, getting together, doing something for the doctors, right? On those days, specifically lighting the candles and the Thali Bajao and all. So it was something, momentous to gather everyone together. Like, हम सब मिलके कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो ये challenge है. इतने questions finish करो, इतना पढ़ाई करो, इतने videos करो. So that's how we came up with challenges. And among that challenges, there were many people who started coming up with their own challenges, and the one which caught my eye and is still running strong is one of your challenges, the MAM 21 challenge. That is when I actually noticed you. It was hashtag Studyrevolution, then hashtag MAM 21 challenge. I was like, ये challenge के अंदर challenge है. And then I saw you and I started following you. You also had made a huge community out of your challenges, and they are still running strong. A lot of people still love your challenges.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's inspired from you. So you started all of those things. Not only me, there are many people who have started their mini challenges, 7 days, 7 work, 7 hours, 7 days, something like that. So there's always a challenge like Studyrevolution and then the mini challenge below it.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I started the challenge, but you guys are the ones who actually propelled it to this exponential level that it is at right now. It's amazing. I mean, you go and search for Studyrevolution hashtag, there'll be thousands and thousands of stories and posts. Right.
And that is also, many people message me, what is this MAM 21 challenge? My friend told me about it. And then there is Studyrevolution. So people are started following, rather than the accounts, they are following the hashtag. So I'm following hashtag Studyrevolution, and all I see on Instagram is all these study posts. So this
and your MAM 21 challenge was actually a very structured challenge. You actually asked precise questions, right? How did you revise this? Was that an active recall method? Was that a Feynman technique method? So your challenge was much more organized than my challenges. My challenges were to just, give them a sense of direction. But you had, very precise challenges designed to keep people interested.
So people who still want to start, you can start Studyrevolution and then mini challenge below it. You can try many other challenges you'll find on Instagram. But so these are the two challenges to, let's say we can say, who said Instagram cannot make you learn? It can. You can participate in challenges and you can see people studying and then feel sorry and then go back to studies.
So there are more than 2 ways of feeling sorry on Instagram.
That is true. So all these challenges, you've been an inspiration for so many of us. Not only me, there are many people. And actually you said also like not only medical students are following you. Now there are students from different streams following you because of these challenges, because it's actually Studyrevolution, not medicine or orthopedic revolution. It's about studies, and whoever wants to study. So your audience base has expanded. So you're not only an inspiration for medical students or budding doctors now, you also for people who like to study. But the real question here is, who is the inspiration for you? You inspire so many of us, but what inspires you to do all of this? Like you have no, like you, if you want, you can just stop creating content. It's your wish. But what is that inspires you to keep doing it?
Wow. And you have come up with these extremely heavy questions, man. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people and things that have actually, played a role in what I have become and whoever I am today. And I'm not saying I'm someone, who's larger than life or someone huge. I'm just still me. It's just that you guys look up to me, and I'm so honored. But I am just who I am, and I never planned to be who I am. What I mean to say is, I've taken inspiration, or inspiration has come to me from many sources of life.
Okay.
I mean, just off the bat, I can think of my boss in my post-graduation days. I mean, he was a short dude. He was 5'1", that's it. And he was an orthopedic surgeon. And he was an amazing surgeon. And he could barely reduce a fracture because he didn't have the strength to do it. But his technique and the way he explained things, the way he talked, the way he kept himself, and the way he was encouraging among all the juniors and seniors, and there was a huge inspiration in my life. I was like, if this guy can do so much, imagine what people who are more capable can do. True. So I think that he was a huge inspiration in my post graduation days. But again, without sounding like a broken record, I think my inspiration also comes from my parents, mostly my mother. I mean, father obviously, but mostly from my mother, because she never ceases to learn. It is so inspiring. She's 70 plus now, and she finds a book, she has to open it and she reads it. She's always interested in learning a new language, learning a new culture, reading about something. So that gives me this inspiration to that I can also, and I should also keep learning. I'm so young, right? I mean, I'm actually so young. So that gives me so much inspiration to keep on learning how to edit videos, or how to record podcasts, or how to color grade photographs and make Instagram posts, stories, because these are the things that I've learned. They were not taught to me. I'd never had Instagram growing up, and apart from that, I mean, I think I also take inspiration from my wife, and I am not just saying that out of the fear of my life. I actually mean it, because I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to do all the things that I am capable of doing right now, because she's a stone. She takes care of so many things behind the scenes, helping me. I mean, primarily raising the kids, and making huge decisions, taking care of me, the kids, the whole family, running the show behind the scenes, giving me so many ideas for my podcast, the problems students face, the problem girls face, right? So these are the things I wouldn't have picked up as a guy, right? So these are the things I learned from her. Sometimes I get these messages from girls who say that my marriage is broken up because I couldn't crack a neat PG seat. I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. And she gives me that insight. So she's a constant inspiration, man. I mean, I wouldn't have done any of this. I'm sitting here doing this podcast with you. She's there taking care of everything, right? So she's the stone. And I think apart from all of that, the thing that constantly keeps me pushing to do what I keep on doing is you guys. You guys are so awesome. I mean, I have time and the resources to do the things that I can right now, but you guys are still students. You make time and you pull these things off. And so it inspires me, like, ये बच्चे इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता हूँ? Again, not trying to bring you down, but I'm again inspired by you guys. The amount of, I can actually pay someone to do this for me. But you guys do this yourself. And so I feel कि नहीं, मुझे भी करना है, मुझे भी सीखना है. So I guess I draw my inspiration from everywhere. Any person who's on a podcast with me, when I talk to them, I immediately get inspired by them. I learn something from them. And today I'm getting so much inspiration from you as well. Your persistence and patience, I keep on telling that. 2 months, dude. It's just so much patience and persistence. Shubhav, awesome.
It's nice, sir. I can understand you're a busy man, and I know you have to reprioritize everything. And I fully accept I am not in the top priorities, because you have, as I said, more fires to first,
But what is inspiring is your persistence and patience. It's
Thank
amazing.
you, sir. That means a lot coming from you. That
it'll definitely take you places you want to go in life.
Thank you, sir. So, we have learned so much from you, from all of this podcast. You have been an inspiration for us. And as you said, the students have also been an inspiration for you. So, what would be a last message for this podcast, for your turtles who are watching this and who have clicked on this video just because they want to watch the Bone Teacher? I know my video, this would be, it will be watched by many people because of you. So just for them, what would be a last message for your turtles?
I mean, first of all, thank you, Shubhav, for having me on this awesome podcast of yours. And people watching this video, do watch all the videos that Shubhav puts out, especially the ones with Anki. He's explained it so nicely, and it's high time Indian medical students should also know about Anki and flashcards. right? And this is the guy you should learn it from. And coming to the last words, I really don't like last words because it just feels like I'm going away and this is bye-bye.
You can stay, sir. We can record this podcast hamesha ke liye, no problems.
But the whole idea of, bye-bye is just, I don't like that. It's just thoda sa sad hai. I'm here. I'm going to be here. I'll try my best to be here. I mean, like you said somewhere in the podcast, there is no reason for me to make this content. There is no reason for me to make podcasts and all. I do that because I always felt that I never had that senior who could guide me. And I always wanted to be that senior for my juniors, to guide them. And I started doing that. Nobody asked me to do this. One fine day, I thought I have to do this because if I don't, no one else is. But now looking at you guys doing so much gives me hope. कि फ्यूचर में होप है एंड और अच्छे सीनियर्स तैयार होंगे एंड दे विल गाइड देयर जूनियर्स. सो आई गेस दैट इज़ माई लास्ट वर्ड फॉर दिस पॉडकास्ट. बी दैट सीनियर टू योर जूनियर्स दैट यू नेवर हैड योरसेल्फ.